Welcome aboard, everybody. Dr. Peter Glidden here with you on the 15th day of May. That's a Thursday. That means it's Metaphysical Thursday, where we talk about all things having to do with metaphysics, and they strike closer to home than you have been led to believe. If you're a Christian or Catholic or any sect thereof, your intention is to go to church and worship on Sundays. If you're Jewish, you go to temple Friday after sundown through Saturday twilight. If you are a Muslim and you're a man, you normally go to the mosque on Friday. It's mandatory for all Muslim men to attend prayers on this day. Women can attend if they wish. If you're a Hindu, typically you don't go to places to worship unless there's a particular festival, a particular thing that you are attempting to acquire, starting a new business and need good fortune, or starting a new family, need the removal of obstacles, or whatever. Different religions have different days of the week which they worship their deities, individual or collective. Religions worldwide have one thing in common. It's a belief in the divine, a belief in something other than this fleshy material substance. All religions have this one thing in common. It is a belief in the divine, in something beyond the ken of the human mind. Interestingly enough, this phenomenon of spiritualism, this phenomenon of religion, this phenomenon of a belief in a spiritual force, a belief in an unseen metaphysical presence, exists across all nations, across all borders, but it comes to a closed door at your MD's office. MDs are not trained in medicine. MDs are trained in allopathic medicine. Allopathic medicine is reductionistic, and reductionism argues that if it cannot be measured, it does not exist. Since nobody has ever measured the soul, since nobody has ever dissected the spirit, since nobody has ever seen an angel with an MRI, a CT scan, or a video camcorder, therefore, to the allopathic reductionist, they do not exist. Now, if the spiritual force does not exist, if God does not exist, then the human body is reduced to a collection of biochemicals, a bag of biochemicals, which eventually is going to short circuit and something's going to go wrong. And this is the basis upon which all MD treatments are delivered, which is ironic. Because many MDs are deeply religious people in their personal life, but when they go to work, they have to leave all of that behind, which is effectively like, being a Democratic or a Republican senator during the day, but when you go home, you're a communist. Right? I mean, because these two philosophies are diametrically opposed. Either God exists or God doesn't exist. Either you believe in God or you do not believe in God. And if you are a medical professional and you believe in God, then you must consider the question: what is the nature of the relationship between the spiritual force that inhabits the human body and the generation of disease? But the MDs do not consider this notion. They do not consider this question. And in not considering it, they have thrown the baby out with the bathwater. And this is why their therapeutics miss the mark so completely, because they have missed a gigantic datum point. The datum point being that the human body is endowed with a God-given spiritual force. The human body is endowed with God-given intelligence. Your body knows how to manage its affairs. Your body is so smart, it grew itself all by itself from a single-celled organism into you. Now, if it could do that, do you think it knows how to fix itself? Well, every holistic physician in the world resoundingly says yes. Resoundingly says yes. And points to the heart, points to the body, points to the space between the eyebrows, points to the sky. Because this is where the rubber hits the road. If God exists, If there is a spiritual presence, then it is animating the human body. And holistic physicians argue that the spiritual presence animating the human body is responsible for everything that happens in the body. And nobody but the homeopaths, nobody says it better, sums it up better than the homeopaths. Homeopathic medicine is a separate and distinct type of holistic medicine. Years ago, there were homeopathic medical schools and homeopathic hospitals all around the world, but after the Flexner Report and the rise of the pharmaceutical industry in the early 1900s, the homeopathic medical profession withered away into obscurity. The homeopathic hospitals closed, the homeopathic medical schools closed, because they could not compete with the money brought to play by the drug industry. Homeopathic therapeutics, by the way, are diametrically opposed to the pharmaceutical industry. Homeopathic physicians give minuscule doses of medicine. Pharmacists, MDs, give massive doses of medicine, and herein lies the disconnect. The pharmaceutical industry could not allow the homeopaths to exist, because if they did, they would not be able to compete, because the homeopaths delivered effective medicines, which were effectively cures for chronic disease, and they were unbelievably inexpensive. So they couldn't have this going on. They had to corner the market. They had to eliminate the competition. So after the Flexner Report, the homeopathic medical profession was waylaid by the pharmaceutical industry. Now, homeopathy, again, is a separate and distinct system of medicine. It has its own diagnostic criteria. It has its own treatment philosophies. It has its own medicines, its own preparation of medicines, its own schedule in the delivery of medicines, and its own unique way of understanding the relationship between human beings and disease. Similar in its uniqueness to a traditional Chinese medical doctor. You ever been to a traditional Chinese medical doctor or an acupuncturist? Well, they talk about wet heat and the triple burner and too much damp energy in the body and whatever. Ayurvedic practitioners talk about the 3 doshas, and they describe and get a handle on the dosha's activity in the body by listening to the pulse. Fascinating systems of medicine, which are extremely unique in their methodology through which they determine the relationship between the human body, health, and disease. Well, the homeopaths, in my opinion, speak to the relationship between the metaphysical vital force, the metaphysical spiritual force, the unseen soul force inhabiting your body, and the nature of disease better than anybody else. I'm going to read you an excerpt from Lectures on Homeopathic Philosophy by James Tyler Kent, MD. Lectures on Homeopathic Philosophy by James Tyler Kent, MD, published by Homeopathic Educational Services in Berkeley, California. Now, this is a lecture that Dr. Kent gave years ago, over 100 years ago, and he is discussing Samuel Hahnemann's understanding of the nature of the relationship between the spiritual vital force and the disease process. Samuel Hahnemann, Dr. Samuel Hahnemann, was the founder of homeopathic medicine, and he wrote the original homeopathic textbook called The Organon of Medicine. And this is a quote, a direct quote from The Organon of Medicine, which is the homeopathic textbook written by Samuel Hahnemann over 200 years ago. The material organism, the human body, without the vital force, is capable of no sensation, no function, no self-preservation. It derives all sensation and performs all the functions of life solely by means of the immaterial being, the vital force, which animates the material organism in health and disease. When a person falls ill, it is only this spiritual, self-acting, autonomic vital force everywhere present in the organism that is primarily deranged by the dynamic influence upon it of a morbific agent inimical to life, something that the human body has experienced, like a poison or a toxin or, a bad fish, right? Something like that. That is primarily deranged by the dynamic influence upon it of a morbific agent inimical to life. That's not an easy word to say. It is only the vital force deranged to such an abnormal state that can furnish the organism, the human body, with its disagreeable sensations and incline it to the irregular processes which we call disease. Now, Kent takes off on this and starts to lecture about this paragraph in the homeopathic Bible. Dr. Kent says, to establish freedom should be the aim of the physician. How about that? To establish freedom should be the aim of the physician. And if a physician's work does not result in placing his patient in freedom, he cannot heal the sick. For healing the sick is placing the patient in freedom, giving them absolute physical freedom and mental freedom. If the physician causes the pains to cease by a dose of morphine, can we call that freedom? Is the patient not made stupid beyond the recognition of the nature of his feelings? The large doses of the old school, i.e. the MDs, produce anything but freedom. We must look elsewhere to find that kind of healing, which turns disorder into order and makes man free. By removing the organic, dynamic signs and symptoms of disease in an orderly way, by converting disorder into order so that the symptoms no longer have a cause, we place our patient in freedom, both physical and mental. More on this when we come back after the break, ladies and gentlemen. This is Metaphysical Thursday, and the intention of my little diatribe at the beginning of the hour is to help you think, start thinking about what's really going on in the human body, and therefore gain wisdom, knowledge, and power. Stick around, God willing, back after these messages. Welcome back. Metaphysical Thursday, May 15th, 2014. School is in session. Dr. Kent continues in his lecture on the nature of the spiritual force and the generation of disease in the human body. Only the vital principle, the spiritual energy, the spiritual force which animates the human body, disturbed, can give to the physical body its abnormal sensations and incline it to the irregular actions we call disease. This is totally different from calling the results of disease the disease, calling arthritis disease, or cancer, or high blood pressure diseases. Most of the conditions of the human economy that are called diseases in the books are not diseases, but are the results of the disease. And I've said this 1,000 times, and this is where I got it from. The tumor is not the disease, it's the result of the disease. The clogged artery is not the disease, it's the result of the disease. The messed up kidney is not the disease, it's the result of the disease. And furthermore, to call a group of symptoms a disease of one part, for instance, arthritis of the left knee, and another group of symptoms a disease of another part, migraine headaches, is a great heresy and leads to errors in treatment that can never be corrected. Organic change is the result of the disease process. Some doctors say, oh, we will have a remedy for cancer someday, having in mind only the symptoms of cancer, that is, the tumor. The symptoms that represent the results of the disease and not the symptoms that represent the disease itself. To think of remedies for cancer is confusion. To think of remedies for arthritis is confusion. To think of remedies for asthma is confusion. But to think of remedies for the patient who appears to have these symptoms is orderly, and you will be astonished to know what wonderful changes will take place in these conditions when remedies that correspond to the conditions before the disease showed up are administered. Before the tumor showed up, before the kidney went south, before the knee became arthritically crippled. I'm going to end the quote here. This is fascinating, right? Because what Kent is saying is what every homeopath in the world says, that it is a disorder in the spiritual body, the vital body of the human body, which grabs hold first. And the disorder, the imbalance, the stress imparted to the spiritual body has manifestations on the physical plane, because these two things are connected. And the manifestations of the imbalance to the spiritual body are symptoms. Oh, I've got a pain in my right leg. Oh, I've got a pain in my right temple. Oh, I have a twitching sensation in my left eyeball. Oh, I can't think straight. Oh, I pass out every time I get up from bed. Oh, every time I pee, it burns like fire. These are symptoms of an imbalance. And to the homeopath, paying attention to the symptoms, to the uniqueness of the symptoms, to the distinction of the dynamic symptoms happening in a living, breathing human body are 1,000 times more important in determining a proper treatment to bring the patient into a state of freedom than simply paying attention to the pathological, morbid results of disease, which is what the coroner does, right? The coroner has no sense of what the pulse was like. The coroner has no sense of what the sensations of the disease were to the affected human being. They have no idea whatsoever. And this is a gigantic disconnect. This is why I encourage you to fire your MD. Not because, they're sadistic human beings, but because they are out of step with what it really means to be a human being. They've thrown the baby out with the bathwater in their complete attention to the results of disease. They have left you in the lurch. You don't believe me? Well, look at what results we've gotten from letting the MDs take care of our health. All chronic illnesses are getting worse. Everything gets worse because the MDs have an old-fashioned, outdated, inconsistent, wrong. They're wrong. The way that they understand the pathophysiology of the body is wrong, because they have no working understanding of how the vital force, how the dynamic spiritual force of the body relates to the body in health or disease. Want to watch an MD's head explode? Ask them to define health. Ask them to define health. Let's see what happens. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dr. Peter Glidden. This is Fire Your MD Now. Sarah from Kansas is up when we come back. Happy Metaphysical Thursday. So before we head on off to the phones and talk to Sarah from Kansas, and then after that it looks like Cecilia from California is up, and then Lee from Utah, Dolores from New Jersey, and David from Wisconsin. I'd like to riff on this a little bit more because, I'm the boss and I get to do what I want. It's good to be the king, right? So, homeopathic physicians are trained to pay attention to the language of the disease process. The language of the disease process is the symptoms that the person's body is generating. For instance, when there's an arthritic thing at play, people may say, well, doc, I have a pain in my left knee. Now, if you went to an MD, that's all that you would need to tell the MD, oh, I have a pain in my left knee. And the MD would then have you shut up, and the MD would spend the rest of the visit in doing objective analysis of the left knee. Ultrasound, CT, MRI, right? Laparoscopic analysis of the joint itself. They don't give a crap about how it feels to you. All they need to know is that that part of your body is troubling you. That's all they're interested in subjectively. The rest you can just, put duct tape around your mouth because they don't give a crap how you feel about it or what the symptoms show up like. But the homeopath does. To the homeopath, the language of the symptoms, the way that the symptoms present themselves in the human body, are a direct reflection of how the vital force has been imbalanced. And the symptoms, the discrete expression of the symptoms, offer a key to the cure of the disease. So, for instance, somebody who has a pain in their left knee, which feels like little ants are walking all around the knee, would need a different treatment than somebody who had a pain in the left knee and it felt like someone was hammering an ice pick into it and the pain was icy cold. Someone who had a pain in the right knee, which went away when they walked and came back when they were sitting down, would need a different treatment than somebody who had a pain in the right knee that only was present when they walked and which was completely gone when they sat down. Someone with a headache that felt much better from a cold application, putting ice on the head, would need a different treatment than somebody who had a headache that was aggravated by ice, and so forth and so on. Homeopathic physicians are trained to pay exacting attention to the details of the symptoms. In a similar way to Sherlock Holmes, right? When Sherlock Holmes would investigate a crime scene, Holmes would see stuff nobody else saw. His attention to detail was so unbelievably acute that he could see things nobody else could see. And that's the job of the homeopath. To pay attention to the dynamic symptoms that the human body is expressing, because it is the dynamic symptoms which are a direct reflection of the imbalance of the spiritual force, the vital force. And by paying attention to how the symptoms present themselves and the nature of the symptoms, the homeopath is led to a curative treatment. Now, when an MD completely discounts how the symptomology is showing up, what the language of the vital force is, because remember, they don't believe in the vital force, they completely miss the boat. So they will give you an artificial hip, an artificial knee. They'll give you morphine. They'll give you prednisone. They'll give you something to suppress the symptoms. But in suppressing the symptoms, they make the patient stupid as to the presentation of the organic symptoms and therefore make a cure impossible. And this is why the MDs never cure anything, because their treatments completely miss the boat. They completely miss the boat. A titanium knee for knee arthritis is not a cure. It's a temporary fix at best. Taking blood pressure medication for high blood pressure is not a cure. It suppresses symptoms. And it's only a matter of time until those suppressed symptoms manifest themselves somewhere else. And this leads to something called Hering's Law of Cure, because Hering's Law of Cure is the observation that in patients with multiple illnesses, what will happen is when they get on board with a curative program, with a curative medical treatment, whether it's homeopathy or acupuncture or herbalism or Ayurvedic medicine or medical nutrition or whatever, often what happens is their symptoms, the organic symptoms, disappear in reverse order. So, and often what will happen is things that they had years and years ago, which were suppressed by the MDs, all of a sudden will pop back. A perfect example of this is the relationship between eczema and asthma. Often what you'll see in children that develop eczema is, well, they're brought to the MD, and the MD gives them tar creams and topical corticosteroids and internal anti-inflammatory medicines like prednisone for months or weeks or years, and eventually the eczema disappears. It's no longer present on the skin. Now, the MDs haven't cured it. They have suppressed it. They have suppressed the symptomology. 2, 3, 4 months, 6 months, 8 months later, that same child now with clear skin develops asthma. Now, the MD will tell you that there's absolutely no relationship between the asthma and the eczema. Because, look, the eczema's gone. They cured it, right? No, they suppressed it. The imbalance that was generating the eczematous condition was still present inside the body, and it was looking for another avenue of expression, and it found it in the lungs. So now the child has asthma. The child's treated for months or years with albuterol and rescue inhalers and so forth and so on, bronchodilators. And then the parents get a clue. They get frustrated with conventional treatment, and they'll take the child with asthma to a holistic practitioner. The holistic practitioner stumbles upon or, discovers, because of their brilliance, a curative treatment for the asthma. They deliver it to the child takes it, and the asthma is cured. Then what happens? Guess what happens next? The eczema comes back. It always comes back. So the lungs clear up, the breathing clears up, the child's breathing like normal, and then a week later, boom, here's the eczema again. Because it was never cured. It was suppressed. And this is called Herring's Law of Cure. It is the return of old symptoms, which were suppressed by conventional medical treatment under the influence of a holistic treatment that actually was curative. And this is completely overlooked by the MDs. And this is why you must never darken their door, because they are completely out of their minds. They've thrown the baby out with the bathwater. They think that the human body is just a bag of chemicals, and it's only a matter of time until that bag of chemicals breaks. They have no understanding of the nature of the spiritual vital force, none whatsoever, which is entirely hypocritical if they go to church or temple or mosque, right? It really ticks me off, especially to see Hindu physicians, because from my point of view, the Hindu religion really has a very sophisticated grasp on the relationship between the spiritual presence, the spiritual force, and the human body. But the Hindu physician, again, locks that part of their mind away when they're understanding how to treat people. It's nonsense. Now, with medical nutrition, this shows up, this relationship between the vital force and the disease process shows up thusly. Holistic physicians practicing medical nutrition. And this is what I do here in the context of longevity, in the context of this radio show. I recommend boilerplate foundation medical nutrition for the masses. That's what I do on this radio program. It's generic boilerplate foundation medical nutrition support. Why does this work? Why is this important? Because it is based upon the fundamental principle that the human body knows how to fix itself, the human body wants to fix itself, and it is the God-given intelligence generated by the vital force present in the human body which directs all of this. So our recommendation is, when you are up against a chronic health condition, feed the body. Feed it. Feed the body. Feed it. Give the body the stuff it needs. Give the body the raw materials it needs. Give the body the essential minerals, the essential vitamins, the essential amino acids, and the essential fatty acids that it needs to fix itself, because the body doesn't work on magic. You need food, you need air, you need water, or you die. Well, guess what? You need 90 essential nutrients every day, or you die slowly. But before you die, you suffer, and then you go bankrupt, and then you die. Why do you go bankrupt? Because what's the most expensive medical therapy? The one that doesn't work. So this is the axis through which science-based, clinically verified, holistic medical nutrition interfaces with the reality of the human body-mind, which is that there is a spiritual presence, a vital force, which is dictating every single freaking thing that goes on in your body. And we just support that. It's all we do. I have the easiest job in the world, for goodness sake. We give the body what it needs. We counsel people to stop eating stuff that's coming up the works. We get the heck out of the way, and we let the vital force fix it. Now, after you've been nutrified, and your body's mineralized for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and you're not eating the bad food, and your body starts to climb back to health, you start burning on all 16 cylinders again. Things start to work the way that nature intended them to. If then you come up against a health condition that medical nutrition is insufficient for, When you bring your nutrified body to a homeopath, to an Ayurvedic practitioner, to a holistic practitioner, to a traditional Chinese medical practitioner, an acupuncturist, the results that they are able to generate in your body eclipse in effectiveness the results that they could generate in a weak, sickly, undernutrified body. See how that works? The vital force, it's a give and take, right? It's the yin and yang. It's the, one hand feeds the other. You need to feed the body the nutrients that it needs in order to optimize its structure and function, and you need to stop eating crap that's coming up the works. We counsel you how to do this. Now, most of the time, that's all that's necessary to bring people back into a state of freedom. Remember, which is the goal here. By the way, you know what the definition of health is? Health is the ability of a living organism to experience stress and remain symptom-free in a state of dynamic equipoise. And I'll put that in your pipe and smoke it. For goodness sake, ladies and gentlemen, give your body the stuff that it needs. Give your body the stuff that it needs. Nutrify your body. Stop eating crap that's coming up the works. And see how far that takes you. Often, it's sufficient to the cause and it takes you all the way. But if it doesn't take you all the way, then you can clean up the rest easily with a good holistic, treatment generated by a licensed physician, skilled in real medicine, skilled in effective curative medicine. And that beats a poke in the eye with a sharp stick or a shot of morphine any day. All right, I'm making a promise now. Sarah from Kansas is up when we come back. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden. Guess what? This is Fire Your MD Now. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you learned something today. Hope you learned something here every day. That's the goal. Let's see what Sarah in Kansas is up to. Hey, Sarah, thanks for waiting. You are live.
Hello.
Hello, Sarah from Kansas. What's shaking?
No, actually, I'm standing at a track meet, watching my son.
Well, I hope he's taking Rebound FX.
He is. He's trying anyway.
There is no try. There is only do or do not.
He's got a few teams to go against, so he's working on trying to go to regionals. So that is a yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm going to answer your question about fatty tissue liver disease here in a minute, but this is a point that I don't want to pass up. The Rebound FX was dialed in over the course of 2 years with Theo Ratliff. Longevity started with one particular formula. They gave it to Theo, and then they tweaked it, and then they tweaked it again, and then they tweaked it again, and then they tweaked it again based on his experience when he was playing on the court until they found, virtually the perfect formula. So people who are involved in athletics on a regular basis,
yes,
have the direct experience that when they take Rebound FX, their recovery time post-exercise is much better. Their performance on the field is much better. They get results from the Rebound FX compared
much
especially
better
to vitamin water or Gatorade, right?
Oh, wonderful. That's good to know, because I am actually going to buy I'm going to start selling the products, actually, and become a distributor. So
that's great.
That is one of the products I was going to get. So I'm glad to know that.
Yeah, it's necessary for your son. Your son's going to feel much better in his performance when he takes this stuff instead of Gatorade or vitamin water. The proof of the pudding's in the eating. So, how can I help you, Sarah? What's your question?
Okay, my question, I guess my concern for myself is I just have recently found out all this. I have stream fatigue, which goes along with this, and weakness, which goes along with this, and the balance and stuff. My concern is they keep saying that that my diet and my exercise is a mess because that's how you cure it. Okay? So the catch-22 is if I'm so tired, how am I supposed to exercise?
Well, they're wrong.
Okay.
They're wrong. I mean, they're wrong. That's how you cure it. They're wrong. Actually, if you were to exercise, this would get much worse. Because the thing that makes people tired, beyond the norm is lack of nutrients. Your body has run out of the essential nutrients that it needs to work properly. It's kind of like, your car has run out of oil and it hasn't been tuned up in 35 years. So the recommendation here for you to begin with for the first 8 weeks is really pretty straightforward. We just do foundation medical nutrition for you. And I'm going to bet you 25 cents that within 4 weeks of taking this stuff, your energy is going to pop right back and you're going to feel great.
Okay, it's called Foundation.
Well, how much do you weigh? I'll tell you what to take.
I weigh right now in less than half of a week. I dropped from 220 to 211.
Okay, so here's what I would do. I would just get 2 Healthy Start Packs. Original formula. 2 Healthy Start Packs, original formula. And I would just take those for 2 months.
For 2 months, okay.
Yeah, 2 of them. Yeah, it's 1 per 100 pounds of body weight per month. So 2 Healthy Start Packs, original formula, would be a really good place for you to start. And if you really want to take it to the next level, I would also eliminate the 10 bad foods from your diet. And you can download that list for free on my website. Just go to drglidden.com, scroll down the front page until you see the list for the 10 bad foods. So eliminate the 10 bad foods.
Okay.
And do 2 Healthy Start Packs a month.
All right. Well, I'll start that and work on that and stuff. But I have a friend, Vincent Christine, that told me to give you a call and talk to you about it, and we're gonna be each other's backup and guru to
Gotta love
get
it.
started on this business. So
All right,
I'm
you
very
go, girl.
thankful.
I appreciate
Thank
you very much. You're welcome. Knockout punch is one thing. Death by attrition is another. That's really our goal here, is to get people so healthy that they just don't need to go to their MDs anymore because it's an outdated, ridiculous, dangerous, ineffective treatment. I mean, why would you do that if you had something that actually worked? Why would you go to someone who doesn't know what causes your illness and can only help you manage the illness with symptom suppressive drugs, which interfere with your body's articulation of its disease process? Why would you do that? Because you don't know any different. That's why. So we're going to educate people. We're going to help people. We're going to show people the undiscovered country of medical nutrition. We're going to generate results. We're going to generate health. And as this word spreads, the whole house of cards that the MDs live in is going to collapse. And, quite frankly, when that day happens, I'll be the happiest man in the world. Right now, let's go to California and talk to Celia, see what's up. Hey, Celia, thanks for the phone call. You are live.
Hi, Dr. Glidden. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm good, but I'll get better. Thanks for asking. What's going on in California?
I have stage 4 pancreatic cancer and a liver mass, and I was wondering if your products would help me.
Well, here's a couple things to understand. My best friend in the world died from pancreatic cancer 7 years ago. And he did everything, he did almost everything under the sun. This was before I had experience with longevity. And it was before I knew about a homeopathic physician in India. Now, we don't treat cancer. It's illegal for us to treat cancer. It's illegal for us to even intimate that we can help people with cancer. And this is why there are no alternative cancer treatment centers in the United States. They don't exist because the only people that can treat cancer here are the people who suck at treating cancer, the MDs. And if that doesn't make you rip-roaring mad, I don't know what's going to. Now, if I had pancreatic cancer, here's what I would do to support and promote the structure and function of my body. How much do you weigh?
169.
Okay, so here's what I would do every month for nutritional supplementation. I would do 2 anti-aging healthy start packs, 2 anti-aging healthy start packs, original formula. I would do 4 bottles of Ultimate Selenium, SELENIUM, 4 bottles of Ultimate Selenium, 4 bottles of Z Radical, Z like zebra, Radical. It's 4 Z Radical, 4 Selenium, and 2 anti-aging healthy start packs. I would eliminate all 10 bad foods yesterday, and I would do a Google search for an Indian homeopathic doctor named Ramakrishnan, 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 and I would schedule a phone consultation with him. And that's what I would do if I were suffering with this program. Also, you may find it necessary or helpful to get a copy of my book, The MD Emperor Has No Clothes. You can buy that on my website. It's, I think, $10 to download it as an ebook, $20 to get a hard copy. I have a chapter in my book. What is it called? I'm sorry. It's called The MD Emperor Has No Clothes, right? And you can find that at drglidden.com. Just click the store button. It's right there. I think that when you click on that button, it takes you to Amazon. But in any event, in that book, I have a chapter on cancer, and in the chapter on cancer, I have 10 questions that every cancer patient needs to ask their oncologist in the presence of a witness and a recording device. So, the next time you go to see the oncologist, if you're going to do that, you need to bring a witness and a recording device, and you need to politely ask the oncologist the 10 questions in my chapter on cancer. And when you hear and understand the oncologist's answer to these 10 questions, you will know whether or not to move forward with their therapeutics. But unless you ask these 10 questions, you will be strong-armed, misled, misguided into getting on board with their ineffective treatments. Now, sometimes, for some types of cancer, they can actually help you, but it's rare that that happens. But, you know, we don't know what we don't know, and everybody has been trained in this society to genuflect at the altar of the MD and just shut up and do whatever the MD says. Well, your MD, bless his or her heart, doesn't know what's best for you. They only know what they've been trained in. And so you need to hold their feet to the fire when it comes to understanding their treatment strategies. And if you ask these 10 questions just politely and listen to their answers, you're going to know whether or not you need to follow through with what they're recommending you do. So that's how I would move. I'd eliminate the 10 bad foods. I'd take those nutritional supplements into your body, and understand this is not a cancer treatment. This is a nutritional strategy, the intention of which is to support and promote the optimal structure and function of your body. Dr. Ramakrishnan will give you a cancer treatment. Well, you know, specifically, it's a homeopathic constitutional treatment. If you can get an appointment with him, that's what I would do. And God bless you and good luck. Call me back with results. I'd love to track how you're doing.
Okay, question for you. I'm sorry. You said I can get the 10 questions from your website?
No, it's in my book. You have to get a copy of my book.
Oh, it's in your book.
Yeah, the book's, it's in a chapter. My book's only $10. You can download it to your computer for $10, right? So that's what I would do. It's really pretty important. And I got to tell you, be prepared to have your jaw go on the floor when you listen to the oncologist answer these questions. I mean, no kidding. It's I've had patients kicked out of their oncologist's office because the oncologist refused to answer the question. And they're just simple questions, you know, like, doctor, does your treatment cure my cancer? I mean, that's a pretty important question to ask, right?
Yes, it is.
It is, Celia. I know. Well, knowledge is power, Celia. Good luck to you.
And I'm learning a lot.
Oh,
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Thank you for your trust. I appreciate it more than you know. Lee from Utah is up next with a question about osteoporosis, I think. Hey, Lee, thanks for the phone call. You are live.
Good afternoon. I really enjoyed your program today. My two questions are related to the same thing, but 49 years ago, my wife and I had our first daughter. She was classified by the medical profession as having osteopetrosis, which she had no blood. No marrow in her bones.
That's interesting.
And they said that she would eventually go deaf and blind, and I got my answer listening to your program a week ago last Thursday night at midnight. You were talking about tinnitus, and that started me down the path of understanding better what it's all about, because she did go deaf and blind and lost the control of her face and such, and the nerves coming out of her skull were pinched off.
Right.
But after we were told that she had osteopetrosis, we asked, well, can we have children? And they said, well, 1 in 4 will have the disease, 1 in 4 will be free, 2 in 4 will be carriers. Well, we ended up having 3 more children. All 3 of them were stillborn, full term, and no indication of any problems. And so we had decided that wasn't the way to go, and so we've just been adopting. But I just wondered if you knew anything about osteopetrosis and how it relates to osteoporosis.
Well, from really great questions, Lee, and my heart goes out to you, because from my point of view, the failure here in your wife's inability to bring to the earth healthy children was the obstetrician's fault. It's not genetic. It's not your wife's fault. It's not a voodoo curse. It's not a bad gene, right? There are genes which attempt to express themselves at different stages of the development of the fetus in utero. Different stage. That's how the body grows, right? The genes express themselves. But the genes need nutrients in order to express themselves. It's kind of like, what would be a good metaphor? If you went to a movie, or if you went to an art studio, and there was an art production, and there was a big white screen on the wall, and there was a projector in the back of the room, and the projector was there were red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet filters that would go in front of the projector, and then you'd see the big blue and red and orange and green, etc. lights on the wall. Well, if one of those colors was removed, you wouldn't be able to see it, right? So in this metaphor, the light projector would be your chromosomal material, and the filters in front of the light projector would be the essential nutrients that your body needs to express that particular color from the genetic material. So when people are deficient in nutrients, especially minerals, at different stages of fetal development, the body doesn't have the raw materials it needs to, make a healthy bone, make a healthy kidney, make a healthy eye, make a healthy whatever. And this is the new burgeoning field of medicine. It's called epigenetics, EPI genetics, epigenetics, and Dr. Wallach is considered the father of epigenetics because of his work with...
that book in my lap.
Okay, well, all right. So because of his work with cystic fibrosis in the 70s, he was the first one to show that this can actually happen, that nutritional deficiencies cause birth defects, right? Now, the wisdom of the body knows what's going on. And your wife's body knew that it didn't have the proper nutrients to bring a healthy child into life, so that's why the kids were stillborn, because her body didn't have the nutrients that it needed. And whose fault is that? And that's the obstetrician's fault, because it's the obstetrician's job to make sure that the baby matures with health. They let you down. I'm going to show you how to build yourself up when we come back. Stick around. Welcome back, everybody. Thursday, May 15th, 2014. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden. This is Fire Your MD Now. We're talking to Lee from Utah. Lee, are you still with me?
I am. That leads me into my second question. My wife was a product of this traditional medical. Her grandfather was a doctor and her mother was a college graduate in health and nutrition and all of those kinds of things. And she was a lovely lady, but I couldn't get her converted to get away from the medical profession. She ended up having cancer and arthritis and many other problems. She went through radiation and so forth, and she finally decided to go to a better place. But this has bothered me for 49 years as to what has been going on. But I got her involved with a good friend of mine who is in my downline in Go Foods, a upper cervical chiropractor who's a great believer in nutrition, but has a blind eye to understand nutrition. He's a standard processor.
Oh, yeah, good luck. Yeah, good luck.
What can I get him to get converted over to longevity? You were involved with standard process.
Yeah, I know a lot about standard process. I know a lot about the royal family. I know a lot about the vitamin industry in the United States. That's a really hard nut to crack because people who do standard process, that's all that they know. They've kind of drunk that Kool-Aid, and their mind is wrapped around this notion that nothing really is better than standard process. So the only thing possibly that I would suggest for people who are standard process devotees or devotees of Thorne or Vital Nutrients or Metagenics or, an Amway product or Sunrider or whatever would be to give them one bottle of the plant-derived minerals, and tell them to drink 1 ounce twice a day for 14 days. 1 ounce twice a day for 14 days, and look to see how it makes them feel. Most people are extremely minerally deficient, and they just don't know that they are. And so when you give their bodies the minerals that they've been needing their entire life, often in as little time as 2 weeks, switches start to turn on that have been off for a long time, and people start to feel a noticeable, measurable, positive change. So that's what I would do. I would try to get your foot in the door with direct personal experience. It's a $20 investment, right? On one bottle of the plant minerals, $20, plus shipping, whatever that is. So,
how much do you think I should have them take at a time?
1 ounce twice a day for 2 weeks. And that they'll use up 1 bottle in 2 weeks. If you really want to go for it, you can give them 2 bottles and, they have them do the whole thing for a month. But most people are so minerally deficient that when they take minerals into their body in the form of the longevity plant-derived minerals, they feel almost an immediate change, an immediate positive change. Certainly 14 days is long enough to produce a result like that. The osteopetrosis is interesting because in osteopetrosis, there's an elevation of an enzyme called alkaline phosphatase in the body, and that speaks to a liver malfunction. And so if somebody is dealing with an osteopetrosis, I would recommend, of course, the 90 essential nutrients with extra liver support. Eliminate the 10 bad foods and do the beet juice thing for, a couple of months to support and promote the structure and function of the liver. But really, from our point of view, this all boils down to an epigenetic phenomenon. And so what we do when we're faced with an epigenetic breakdown is we just throw all of the nutrition at the body that the body needs. We eliminate the 10 bad foods. We keep our fingers crossed, and we see how far back the body is able to bounce. You might be surprised. I mean, with sickle cell anemia, We have people who are virtually symptom-free. They're virtually symptom-free. And that's not supposed to be able to happen because, it's genetic and it's baked into the cake and you can't change that. Well, guess what? This whole revelation of epigenetics changes everything. And no longer is it a death sentence. We're never, ever going to be able to have somebody that has Down syndrome, for instance, be a normal human being again, but we can optimize their life to a remarkable degree. The same, I would assume, with osteopetrosis and so forth and so on. So what it all boils down to, Lee, is Nutrify, 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 Nutrify. Keep your fingers crossed and let God do the rest. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it very much. Let's go to New Jersey next. What do you say? See what Dolores is up to. Hey, Dolores, thanks for the phone call. You are live.
Hello, how are you?
Well, I'm great, Dolores, but hopefully I'll get better. What's going on in New Jersey? Hey, Dolores, by the way, which exit are you at in New Jersey?
Exit 40.
Yeah, which exit? 49, exit off the turnpike. That's how I know New Jersey, right? Which exit are you off the turnpike? That's how everybody knows New Jersey, right?
Look, I have two questions for you.
Right.
You hurry up and cut me off. I don't want you to cut me off before I ask. Now, I am on your program.
Smartest girl in New Jersey. Good job.
Yes, because I talked to you before.
All right.
And I was telling you I was on the program, and I have, my digestive system was slow. So I was saying, because I have stenosis of the spine, so the doctor said, and the arthritis in the hip. And I'm walking like a dog that's been hit. It's so painful. So I've been taking this for a month. But my other package is on its way, maybe here today, I hope. And see, because you told me to get the liquid Beyond Astro
FX. Yep, great.
You told me to get the liquid instead of the powder.
Good.
So anyway, I'm going to try that and see what happens. But on Sunday, all of a sudden, it was like I thought my hair was down over my glasses, but it wasn't. So when I went to the doctor the next day, he said it was a floater. So have you ever heard of a floater in a person's eye?
Oh, yeah. The main cause of floaters in the eyes, there's two things that cause that. Number one is dehydration, not enough water intake. And number two is something called free radical damage. And, that happens if you eat oil that's in a bottle or fried food or really any of the 10 bad foods. But the two biggest culprits there that, make the eye go funky like that are fried foods and any type of oil that's in a bottle. But, you also need something in the body called antioxidants in order to help the body deal with that. And so it would be prudent for you to get on board with more antioxidants. Are you taking selenium, I hope?
No, I'm taking everything that came in that package. That healthy 90 for life, healthy body start.
Okay, so I would. How much do you weigh?
I won 62.
All right. I would, in addition, order 2 bottles of Ultimate Selenium. Let me spell you that for you. It's S like Sam, E, L like Larry, E, N like Nancy, I-U-M, Selenium, Ultimate Selenium. Get 2 bottles of that. And also, Dolores, have you ever heard of something called green tea? Ever heard of green tea?
Oh, green tea, yeah.
Yeah, get some green tea and drink it like a son of a gun. Just drink a lot of green tea. Yeah, drink a lot of green tea for the next week. Drink more water than you're used to, and I bet you that floater's going to disappear.
Yeah, because according to the doctor, he's saying, oh, no, it's not going. It'll be there.
The doctor's an
nothing
idiot.
you could do because he has it, too.
Yeah, well, there you go. So, right, we all get together, and misery loves company. So, the medical doctor's wrong. I get floaters all the time myself, and they disappear when I drink more water and increase my consumption of antioxidants. It's a funny thing because dehydration is one of the leading causes of this, and dehydration is a funny thing because you can be drinking adequate amounts of water, but if you're drinking coffee or tea, even if it's iced tea, those things are diuretic, and that means the more coffee that you drink, the more water your body pees out, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're drinking too much coffee, like if you go on a bender for, a week and you double down on the amount of coffee because you've got something to do, you've got a job that you have to do or something that, you need to stay awake for or whatever, you can become dehydrated because you're drinking too much coffee and your body's peeing out more fluids than you're taking in. So.
But how do you know you're dehydrated? Because I don't get thirsty,
Yeah, well, it's a hard thing to know. I mean, the only way that you can really know this, and it's kind of a weird experiment, but, floaters, the presence of floaters would be one indication that you're a little dehydrated. But really, the only way that you can know is for 24 hours in a row, every time you drink something, and I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's water, tea, coffee, juice, milk, vodka Collins. I don't care what it is. Every time you drink something, you measure how many ounces it is before you drink it. You measure how many ounces it is, and you write it down. Mm-hmm. And you look to see how many ounces you drink in 24 hours. And then every time you pee, and this is hard, this isn't easy for women, but every time you pee, you have to capture it and measure it and see how many ounces it is.
Oh, really?
And then look to see in the course of 24 hours whether you're peeing out more than you're drinking in. And if you are, you're dehydrated. That's kind of an old-fashioned naturopathic way to do it. But, what I would do as an experiment, I would just drink 12 more ounces of water a day than you're used to. Drink 12 more ounces of water a day than you're used to. Drink more green tea and see what happens to the floater. Now, the selenium supplement.
Don't hang up on me yet. Just one more.
All right. Selenium is... you need the selenium in addition.
Arthritis in the hip. Now, is this stuff going to take away the arthritis or build up the bone or what?
Yeah, so what this program does is it supports and promotes the optimal structure and function of the bones and the joints. So the degree that your body is able to get on the other side of this program will help, right? It's kind of like, what it's like, Dolores. It's like, giving a plant, a little house plant that's struggling, giving it some Miracle Grow, a little bit more sunlight, a little bit more water, and seeing what happens, right? So we feed your body the nutrients that the joints and the bones need to maintain their health. We get the heck out of the way. We stop eating food that's hurting the bones and the joints. We keep our fingers crossed, and we see how far back we come. And usually if you're doing the right thing here with an arthritic problem, you experience slow and steady improvement every 4 weeks. Now, I don't think that the powdered calcium that you were taking in the past was sufficient to the cause here. I'm pretty sure that once you start the liquid calcium, you're going to experience improvement, and it's going to be like watching ice melt in the springtime, right? A little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better, like that.
Because it's not going to take away the pain. This is not for pain.
No, yeah. Well, the pain is present because there's inflammation in the joint. Why is there inflammation in the joint? Because the joint has run out of the stuff it needs to be healthy. So when we give the joint the stuff it needs to be healthy, the inflammation will go away and the pain will go away. And that's how we do it. Because the pain is, what the pain is like? It's like the little check engine light that comes on the dashboard, right? It means there's something wrong with the engine. Well, whenever there's pain present in the body, that means there's something wrong somewhere. And what do the MDs do? They give you morphine or, Excedrin or Advil to knock down the pain, or oxycodone. Well, gee, thanks a lot. That doesn't get to the root of the pain, right? And that's what we attempt to do every time, right?
But that's a terrible pain, And mine's not sitting down, not standing, it's walking. When I first step, that's
you feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah, terrible. And when you're standing still, it's not there?
No, I don't feel it. And when I'm sitting
Okay.
down, when I try to get up out of the chair, I have to stand still before I take my first step. You know, like try to judge myself.
And when you
because it
take
hurts
your
so
first
bad.
step, it's painful, right?
Yes, it is.
Now, the more that you walk, does the pain get less and less, or does the pain stay the same?
It can get less. But what I do, if I'm going in a store or something, I get a cart, you know, and hold on to it, you know, and try to stand, you know, straight as I can. And maybe people won't even notice it, but I know it, you know, but it does feel a little better, you know.
It feels a little bit better. Does the pain in your hip increase when the weather changes? Can you tell that the rain's coming because your hip starts to act up?
Sometimes. I don't know. I thought maybe that was just something somebody made up. I don't, you know. I haven't noticed.
And what about?
I guess maybe because it hurts so bad, they are, you know, dry or wet.
Yeah. And what about putting something hot on the hip? Does that help it, or does that hurt it, or does that do nothing to it?
If I'm in the shower, you know, I stand there, you know, and it feels good. Not cold. You don't recommend anything cold, though, right?
Yeah. Okay. Have you ever tried that? Ever tried to put ice on it and see what it did?
No, because, you know, the pain is like in the groin area where the hip in my bottom of my stomach or wherever, you know, the hip area. That's where the pain is, right in the center, right in the crease.
Yeah. How about first thing in the morning when you roll out of bed? Does that hurt?
Mm-hmm. And what I do, I try, but I can get on the floor, I can do exercise, I can lift my legs like 20, 25 times, and I, you know, turn on my side, I can do each leg 25 times, and it's not hurting. And I can do, you know, push the legs back. You know, I can feel that a little, especially in that leg, you know, in the left leg.
Yeah, it's only when you're walking on it that it's painful, right?
That's where it gets me. Mm-hmm.
All right. So look, there's. I want you to get a pencil because I'm going to have you write something down here.
Yeah, I have one.
All right. I want you to go to a health food store and get a homeopathic medicine. All right. And you spell that HOMEO PATHIC, homeopathic medicine. In the health food store, in the vitamin aisle, there's going to be a little shelf with about 50 homeopathic medicines in the shelf, and they're dispensed in small tubes. They look like lipstick containers. It'll cost you about $8, $9, $10 for one tube. And here's the name of the homeopathic medicine I want you to get. Okay? All right. First, I'll say it, and then I'll spell it. It's a Latin name. It's called Rus toxicodendron.
Wow.
And I know. Well, here's how you spell it. All right. It's easy. It's R like Roger, H like Harry, U, S like Sam. RHUS like Sam. All right. Second word?
HUS.
RHUS. Ready for the second word?
Yeah.
All right. T like Thomas. O. X.
X.
I. C like Charlie. O. D like David.
D.
E like Edward. N like Nancy. D like David.
D.
R like Roger. O like Oscar. N like Nancy.
N.
All right. Now go to the
ECO.
yeah.
DENDRON.
Yeah, Rus toxicodendron. Perfect. It's going to be in a little blue tube, and in that little tube is going to be about 100 little white pellets. Here's how I want you to take that. I want you to take 2 pellets orally like a Tic Tac. You pop 2 pellets in your mouth and suck on them like a Tic Tac 4 times a day. I want you to do 2 pellets orally 4 times a day for 7 days in a row. And then I want you to call me back and tell me what happened to the hip pain, okay?
Okay.
All right. Homeopathic Rus toxicodendron, Dolores. Give it a run for its money. Get some selenium, get some green tea, drink a little bit more water. Give me a call back in 7 or 8 days, and we'll see how you're doing. Appreciate the phone call. David from Wisconsin is up next, folks. Stick around. Welcome back, everybody. We're finishing up today's show with Dave from Wisconsin. Maybe time for Gary from San Diego, too. Let's see what Dave is up to. Hey, Dave, thanks for the call. You are live.
Hey, Dr. Glidden, how are you doing?
Pretty good, thanks. Thanks for the call. What's up?
Hey, I just recently got introduced to longevity, and I've been impressed with a lot of the testimonials and stuff, and I guess I'm just looking for some help. I've been diagnosed, or I was diagnosed with Lyme's disease about 2 years ago, and I've been treating it, or I've been seeing like naturopaths, and I finally, I've been seeing naturopaths for about the last 2 years and trying to take care of it that way, and don't know if I completely have gotten through it, and I've also had, a lot of other problems along the way, especially digestion and the colon. Got hypothyroidism, low blood pressure, a lot of different like swelling and stuff like that. Some brain issues.
How much do you weigh?
Just under 150.
Okay, so I consider myself an expert on Lyme disease. I worked for 12 years, I think, in Cape Cod, Massachusetts, which is one of the highest incidences of Lyme disease in the world. I don't know how many people, hundreds of people, have come to me for help with Lyme disease, and I know quite a bit about it. I'd like you to go to my website and pop down $20, become a Dr. Glidden Insider. It's a month-to-month subscription. You can cancel at any time. Cancel after the first month if you want. And I want you to watch a webinar that I did on Lyme disease. It's a 55-minute webinar. It's in the archive. So when you're a subscriber to my website, you have immediate access to over 110 hours of archived health webinars that I've put together. One of them was on Lyme disease. You need to watch it because it's going to blow your mind. There's a lot of information in there that I just don't have time to talk about now. I have
the person that
have you watched that webinar?
Yes, I did. Yep.
All right, good.
I guess,
so here's what I want you to do, because we only have a limited amount of time.
I understand. Yeah.
All right. Have you taken Teasel root?
No, I have not.
All right. So you need to get some Teasel root, Teasel. The Latin name for that is Dipsacus sylvestris, D-I-P like Peter, S like Sam, A-C-U-S, Dipsacus sylvestris, S-Y-L, V like Victor, E-S, T like Thomas, R-I-S, Dipsacus sylvestris. Teasel root, take 9 drops 3 times a day for 28 days. 9 drops orally 3 times a day for 28 days. In addition to that, I would recommend you do one healthy brain and heart pack, 1 bottle of its original formula, 1 original formula healthy brain and heart pack, 3 bottles of Ultimate Selenium, 3 bottles of Ultimate Selenium, and 1 bottle of Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0. That's 1 Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0, 1 Healthy Brain and Heart Pack original formula, and 3 bottles of Ultimate Selenium a month. Do that program for 2 months. Do those nutritional supplements for 2 months. Eliminate the 10 bad foods. You familiar with that list?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Eliminate the 10 bad foods. Get on board with those nutritional supplements and add the Teasel root into the bargain. Oftentimes, people who think they have Lyme disease don't really have Lyme disease, and sometimes people who don't think they have Lyme disease have Lyme disease. It's a really tricky thing to diagnose because the Food and Drug Administration made illegal the only Western blot test that can test definitively for Lyme disease. So you could have, been bitten by the tick, have all the symptoms of Lyme disease, have definitive Lyme disease, and you do the blood work and it comes back negative. You could have had Lyme disease 25 years ago, gotten over it, be symptom-free, and test positive for Lyme disease because of the insidious nature of the Food and Drug Administration with their, it's nuts what's going on with Lyme disease. So whether you have it or not, I don't know. Nobody does. But if I had Lyme disease, this is what I would do as an experiment for 60 days to support and promote the structure and function of my body-mind. You want to look to see how the program makes you feel. You want to rate each of your symptoms on a scale of 1 to 10 once a week for 8 weeks and look to see if anything improves on this program. Check it out, and thanks for the call. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight, 7:30 Central Time, it's my free Healthy Body Challenge webinar with Sanjeev Javia. Check out my website for details. See you.